It's a scene that feels ripped from history. Crowds gather in front of banks, waving banners and chanting slogans. Police in riot gear stand nervously by. The Chinese government, haunted by memories of the 1989 democracy movement in Tiananmen Square, responds fast. This is not just about money. It is about trust, power, and fear. The stakes are high, for families, for banks, and for the ruling Communist Party. In recent months, China's mortgage crisis has exploded into public view. As banks freeze withdrawals and construction projects stop, ordinary people are panicking. Many stop paying their mortgages. Others protest at local banks demanding their savings back. The Chinese Communist Party tries to control the chaos, sending police and even military vehicles into the streets. The government is on edge. It fears that these protests could grow, just like in 1989. Back then, students demanded democracy and change. Now, families demand their money, their homes, and basic fairness. The CCP's nervous response shows how serious this crisis has become. These protests are a warning. They signal deep problems in China's banking and real estate system. If the government cannot calm the anger, the crisis could shake the entire country. The crisis did not start in the streets, it started online. In early 2022, social media filled with angry posts. Homebuyers in dozens of cities announced that they would stop paying their mortgages. They were tired of waiting for apartments that developers promised but never finished. The posts went viral, spreading to chat groups and news sites. Within weeks, the anger moved offline. People organized protests at banks and government offices. In Henan province, crowds surrounded rural banks that had frozen withdrawals. Some protesters held signs that read, "Give us our life savings." Police were quick to respond. In many cases, they broke up crowds or blocked people from entering the cities. The government tried to erase news of the protests. Posts disappeared from social media. Videos were censored, but the anger kept spreading. More and more people joined mortgage boycotts. By mid-2022, hundreds of unfinished projects across China faced payment strikes. Social media was a double-edged sword. It helped protesters organize, but it also helped the government track them. The CCP used surveillance cameras and online monitoring to hunt for leaders. Still, the protests would not stop. The crisis was too deep and the anger too real. Why did this crisis hit so hard? The answer is simple. Chinese people love real estate. For decades, owning a home has meant security, status, and hope for the future. Most families put their savings into buying an apartment. For many, it is their only big investment. This love of property is not just about money, it is cultural. In China, a man is often expected to own a home before he can marry. Parents save for years to help their children buy apartments. A home is more than just a roof. It is a symbol of success. The government encouraged this dream. Local officials cheered as new buildings rose across the country. Buying a home seemed safe. Prices went up every year. People believed that real estate would always be a good investment. But this love of real estate also created risk. Families borrowed huge sums to buy homes. They trusted developers to finish projects on time. When things went wrong, people felt betrayed. Not just financially but emotionally as well. China's real estate boom did not just build homes, it built hope. For years, families snapped up apartments as soon as they were offered. Developers sold homes before they were even built, using the money to start new projects. It looked like a win-win, but soon, speculation took over. Many people bought second or third homes, hoping to resell for a profit. Entire cities full of empty apartments appeared. Some called them ghost cities. Still, prices kept rising. Families poured most of their wealth into property, leaving little for anything else. Developers raced to buy more land. They borrowed more, betting that home prices would never fall. Banks and local governments cheered them on, since they made money from land sales and loan interest. Few people worried about what would happen if the music stopped, but the warning signs were there. Many apartments stayed empty, owned only as investments. If buyers stopped coming, the whole system could collapse. Still, people believed the boom would last forever. It was a dangerous illusion. Then, the trouble began. In 2021, Evergrande, one of China's biggest property developers, ran out of money. It owed more than $300 billion. The company had promised thousands of apartments, but just couldn't pay contractors or finish projects. Home buyers who had paid in advance were left with nothing but empty lots. So how did this happen? Step by step, Evergrande borrowed huge sums to buy more land and start new projects. As long as new buyers kept coming, the money kept flowing. But when sales slowed, Evergrande just couldn't pay its debts. The dominoes started to fall. Local governments were part of the problem too. They made money by selling land to developers like Evergrande, which encouraged even more building, even when there were already too many empty homes. When Evergrande collapsed, it exposed the risky game everyone was playing. The shockwaves were massive. Dozens of other developers also ran into trouble. Suddenly, millions of families feared they would never see their homes finished. Trust in the whole system vanished almost overnight. China's real estate market was, honestly, like a giant pyramid scheme. Developers used money from new buyers to finish old projects, and local governments depended on land sales for their income. As long as prices kept rising, everyone was happy. But, this wasn't really stable. Developers kept taking bigger risks. They borrowed more and more, just betting that home prices would keep going up. Local governments wanted to sell as much land as possible, and well, nobody wanted to slow down or set any limits. The Chinese Communist Party actually had chances to regulate the market. It could have stopped developers from borrowing too much. It could have told local officials to be careful. But strong growth was just too tempting. The party wanted to keep the economy booming. Soon enough, the pyramid became too tall. When new buyers dried up, the whole system started to wobble. It was only a matter of time before it came crashing down. The CCP had missed its chance to stop the disaster. As developers ran out of money, construction sites went silent. Cranes stopped moving, workers left, families who had paid for new apartments saw nothing but empty shells. They felt cheated, anger boiled over. In city after city, homebuyers announced mortgage boycotts. They just refused to pay for homes that would never be finished. The movement grew quickly, spreading through online chat groups and social media. Soon the protests reached the banks. People started worrying about their savings. In some places, rural banks froze withdrawals, saying they had no money. This sparked even more protests. Police were sent in to keep order, but the panic was hard to contain. Videos of angry crowds went viral before being deleted. The crisis spread like wildfire. Mortgage boycotts hit hundreds of projects. Banks faced rising bad loans. Trust in the system collapsed. The risk of a wider banking crisis grew every single day. Banks in China take deposits from savers and lend money to homebuyers and developers. If too many people stop paying their mortgages, banks lose money. If people rush to withdraw their savings, banks can actually run out of cash. This is called a bank run. But this crisis is different from America's 2008 crash. In the US, risky loans were sold all around the world. When the bubble burst, banks everywhere lost money at once. In China, the problem is more local. Most of the bad loans are held by Chinese banks, not global ones. Still, the danger is real. If too many people stop paying, small banks could fail. This could spread panic to bigger banks. The government might have to step in and rescue them, using taxpayer money. China's banks are not as open as those in the West. The government controls most of them, which gives the CCP more power to hide problems. But honestly, it also makes the stakes a lot higher if the crisis grows. The CCP is fighting hard to control the message. Posts about protests just vanish from the internet. News reports are censored. Police question anyone who shares videos or organizes online. The government hopes this will stop panic from spreading. But, censorship cannot fix the real problems. People still want their homes and their money. The crisis has shaken trust in both banks and the government. For the CCP, this is more than just an economic problem, it's a political test. Nobody really knows what will happen next. Will the government bail out banks and developers? Will protests grow, or will they be crushed? The stakes are huge. For the financial system, for the families who invested their life savings, and for the CCP's grip on power. One thing is clear, China's mortgage meltdown is far from over. The world is watching. The outcome will shape China's future for years to come.